going to put a spin on this recipe, okay? I know all of us, we're familiarized with shepherd's pie. However, how about if I tell you, let's incorporate some other stuff and turn it into a French onion style shepherd's pie. To our boiling water, we're going to add some salt to give it a nice flavor. And let's introduce our potatoes. When it comes down to the potatoes, we're going to be boiling the potatoes for, I want to say, about 15 to 18 minutes. Should be perfect. Our frying pan is nice and hot and ready to go. And we are going to add some oil first, however. Okay, use any oil. It doesn't matter. Any type of cooking oil is perfect. The reason why I'm adding the oil is because we're going to follow up with adding some butter. Adding the oil is going to prevent the butter from burning as fast, which is what we need to happen while we add our perfectly sliced onions. We're going to cook our onions until they become translucent. Once they become translucent, they are going to start to release their natural sugars, right? And once those natural sugars are released, guess what? We're going to have beautiful caramelization. All right, let's talk about the onions for a second, all right? When it comes to caramelizing your onions, I find that Vidalia onions work best simply because they're naturally sweeter. However, if you opt for using the yellow onion, you could definitely use the yellow onion, because when it comes down to making French onion soup, yellow onions are traditionally used anyway. Not to mention, not only are they slightly sweet, but they're more savory. Okay, but I would suggest that you use your Vidalia onion if you have any on hand, because like I said before, it's just naturally sweeter. All right, we went ahead and removed all of the onions from the pan, and in the meanwhile, I'm going to set it aside. To this hot pan, we are going to introduce our ground beef. Chop it up really, really good. The great thing about it is all of the onion flavor that's stuck to the bottom of the pan, all that caramelization that's there is going to infuse itself with our ground beef, which is perfect. All right, later on, I am going to add some of the onions, the caramelized onions, back to the pan. But for now, I just want to concentrate on cooking the ground beef. Now, here's the thing. When it comes down to the onions, I want you to reserve at least 1/4 of the onions. All right, our ground beef is finished cooking. Let's have some fun with this ground beef. Now, here's the thing. This is an organic ground beef, and it is a lean cut of ground beef, okay? So I have nothing really much going on in this pan in regards to excessive oil. Whatever little bit is here is what I'm going to keep, because it's not causing any disturbances. You know what I'm saying? We're going to add a little salt and ground black pepper to get the process started. All right, we're not going to add too much, of course. We're going to add some onion powder for a nice extra added onion flavor. We're also going to add some garlic powder. Let's get that garlicky flavor going on. Let's add some Italian seasoning. We're going to add some smoked paprika. Let's smoke it on out. Let's add some Worcestershire sauce. Let's get that Worcestershire up in the pan. Add a good amount of that stuff. That stuff, right? But nevertheless, add a good amount. We're going to get in there. We're going to incorporate it really good. And guess what? We are not done when it comes down to the flavoring of our ground beef. Now, this right here is definitely going to step the flavors up. This is some onion soup, just in case you're interested. We're going to add the entire packet. And we're going to incorporate it really well. Oh, it smells amazing. I want to refine the ground beef just a little bit more, especially if you want your meal to stretch. If you want it to stretch, make sure you break it down as much as possible. We are going to add, or should I say re-add, some of our beautifully caramelized onions to the ground beef. Remember what I said, don't forget, reserve some of the onions. Don't add all of the onions to the pan, because you're going to need some for later. We're going to fold the onions into the ground beef. Lower the flame, because at this point in time, everything is cooked. Let me show you some more cooking action. We're going to go ahead and we are going to, believe it or not, we're going to add some flour to the ground beef, okay? And this is going to work as a thickening agent, because we're going to be making a delicious sauce. We're going to give the ground beef an additional minute. of cooking time, simply because we want to cook all of that flour taste out of the flour. Okay, we don't want our meat to taste doughy. And let's add some beef broth. This is going to help with the deglazing process. Take your time and gently stir. We are going to add our heavy cream. If you want to add half and half to this recipe, you definitely can. No worries. We're going to stir it on up, incorporate the heavy cream with the sauce. Okay, perfect. We're going to add some sour cream. The sour cream is going to help to balance out the flavors. And it's also going to give it a nice creamy, silky, smooth texture as well. Let's go ahead with our cream cheese. And the cream cheese needs to be room temperature, okay? Do not put any frozen cream cheese into this mix, or you're going to be fighting to break it down. By the time you finish trying to break down the cream cheese, you're going to have sauce all over the walls. So it's best if it's room temperature, so it breaks down a lot easier. You could use your whisk for this if you want, but me personally, I'm just going to use the back of the spatula because I don't want to dirty up a ton of dishes, right? Doesn't make sense at this point. Lower the flame, of course, and we're going to allow it to simmer for an additional 5 minutes. We're going to strain our potatoes. We got our potatoes, all right? I went ahead and transferred the potatoes from the hot pot into the bowl, okay? And what I like to do first when it comes down to the potatoes is add everything that needs to be melted while it's still hot. Don't add the, I need the potato masher. That would be nice. So like I was saying, I like to add all of the creams and butters and stuff like that while it's still hot because I didn't heat up the milk, okay? The milk is cold, if you will. But the milk, since it's cold, I'm going to add that last. I want everything to melt into the potatoes nice and smoothly. We're going to add some sour cream as well. This is just the remaining sour cream that I had left over. Add a pinch of salt and ground black pepper. Going to also add some garlic powder. All right, not too much. And we are going to break everything down. Now here's the thing, when it comes down to the potatoes, right? Because I get a lot of questions. What should I use? Can you give any tips and tricks and so on and so forth? Yes, I can. I like using yellow potatoes because not only does it remain intact, I find that it's a lot easier to work with. I like the texture, the smoothness, right? And I also like the taste, which is that nice buttery flavor. So yeah, when it comes down to a choice of potatoes, I usually opt for the yellow potatoes. Texture and flavor. However, when it comes down to the russet potatoes, aka the bacon potatoes, of course you could use that for baking purposes. Those work out perfectly fine when it comes to baking. But if you're looking for that nice buttery smooth mashed potato that everybody loves when they're looking to indulge in comfort food, opt for the yellow potatoes. We're going to go ahead and add some of our heavy cream. Not going to add all, just a small amount to give it that nice creamy flavor. Okay, let's fold the milk in. I don't want to add too much milk because I want the potatoes to keep that body. Okay, I don't want it to be loose and runny. All right, let's add an egg. We're going to treat this just as if we're making a shepherd's pie. To jazz this on up, let's go ahead and add some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. All right, beautiful. The Parmesan cheese is going to give it a nice nutty flavor. If you want to add a different type of cheese, you definitely can. I just figured the Parmesan cheese is going to work well with the mashed potatoes, especially like I said, since we're making like an onion flavored type casserole. The other thing is if you want to use Gruyère cheese, you definitely could use that as well. All right, this is perfect. So by the time you scoop it out, you see that? Bap, perfect. Not runny, not loose, and not soggy. All right, nonstick cooking spray, here we go. This is how our onion soup ground beef turned out. It looks absolutely delightful, okay? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add a big spoonful of meat to the casserole dish. I wish you guys could smell it. It smells so good. Woo! So delightful. This is going to be meaty and super delicious. Remember those reserve onions? Now will be the perfect time to add them. So by the time you assemble the casserole and you bite into it, you're going to get those nice little pockets of caramelized onions. It's going to be perfect. All right, we're going to add our perfectly whipped mashed potatoes. Once we're done, we're going to smooth it on out. That's why it's super important not to add too much milk or liquid. Especially if you're not going to add the egg. I would suggest that you add the egg because it's going to help the potatoes to remain nice and firm. Because I know sometimes people, they don't like to add the egg and so on and so forth. But the egg is going to help out a lot. If you don't add the egg, do not add a lot of milk. We're just going to spread the potatoes on top of the meat mixture. If a little bit of the gravy becomes integrated into the potatoes, that's totally okay. Not a problem. All right, we're going to incorporate some of our Gruyère, mozzarella, and cheddar together. And we are going to add it to the top of our mashed potatoes. Adding all three cheeses is going to give it a nice complexity of flavor. If you're adding the sharp cheddar, if your cheddar is sharp, of course, you're going to have that nice sharp taste. You're going to have the mildness from the Gruyère cheese. And of course, you're also going to have not only the cheese pull from the mozzarella, but it's going to provide a nice creamy flavor as well. All right, we're going to place it into our 375-degree Fahrenheit oven. Okay, that is Fahrenheit, not Celsius. And we are going to place it in there uncovered for about 25 to, I want to say between 20 to 25 minutes, all right? Or until the cheese is perfectly melted. And that should basically be it. I allowed the French onion potato casserole to sit out of the oven for about 30 minutes. Also, you want it to set, right? You don't want to dig into it or cut into it right away and then have it all over the place and just being messy. All right, let's see. All righty, that looks good. Get a little parsley going. I forgot to add the parsley to the meat. Okay. All right. You want the first bite? Oh, caramelized onions. I'm going to say something right now, and don't take it the wrong way. This tastes better than shepherd's pie. Yes, it does. It honestly tastes better than shepherd's pie. I know you're probably like, what? There's nothing that tastes better than shepherd's pie. Yes, this onion, ground beef, shepherd pie style, if you will, casserole is absolutely delicious. This thing is good. I'm not even going to waste your time. Get in the kitchen and make this dish today. Not tomorrow, today. Order your groceries from Instacart and get to cook it, okay? Absolutely delicious. I mean, you're getting all of those rich flavors, right? Not to mention the seasonings that we added to the beef. The onion soup mix. We added the Worcestershire sauce. We added so many different things, right? Which creates a great flavor complexity. It's absolutely delicious. You have those nice, perfectly whipped, creamy mashed potatoes going on as well. I mean, the combination is just amazing. This might be your shepherd's pie replacement. I got to be honest with you. But nevertheless, don't forget to check out cookingwithtammy.shop for your delicious seasonings. I'm going to also ask that question. Which one do you think tastes better? After you make it, of course. A, shepherd's pie, or B, this delicious French onion potato casserole shepherd pie style situation, okay? Anyway, y'all, I'll catch you guys in another video. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.